So today we're going to do a bit of a reading check-in and also do a big unhaul of these shelves. Now really, I was meant to do this video at the end of the first quarter of the year, so at the end of March, but I wasn't organized enough to do that, so we're now doing this in like thirds. At the start of the year, I outlined a bunch of like reading goals and intentions for the year, but really a lot of them were like micro goals that feed into the macro goal of reducing my physical TBR. Some of them I was like wanting to be more strict with than others. I'm quickly going to run you through some numbers. That's what we like to do here. I will be quick because I actually have already run through these numbers in a book haul that I did a while ago. I've made notes and everything. One of my new reading rules was that for a book to come onto my TBR, I had to have reduced my TBR by 5. So that could either be unhauling stuff, which I have not done at any point up until like now in the past few days. We will get to that. Or obviously like getting them off my TBR by actually reading them. So in the first 3 months of the year, I hauled 13 books. So that means that in theory, I had to reduce my TBR by 35 books in order for those books to come onto my shelves. However, 2 of the books that I hauled were books that I had already read. I just didn't own copies of, so we're down to 11. And then 4 of those books were books that I hauled for work. And I always said like, I just can't really count work books moving forwards with my TBR because they are always going to be coming onto my shelves, and I have done a really good job of like consistently reading the books that come onto my shelves for work. And actually I have read all but 2 of the books that I hauled in the first 3 months of the year, which I think is really good for like my TBR continuing to at least like stay flat and not grow. It took me down to 7 books that I essentially had to earn by reducing my TBR by 5 books. So 5 times 7, 35. Now, at the end of March, I had not done that. So in theory, I needed to be unhauling books to facilitate those hauls. However, if we look at it for like the end of April, which is where we are now, I have read 46 books. Now, not all of those count because some were books that I borrowed, or as I said, the workbooks didn't count. So if we take all of those subtractions, I have still read 35 books. So we are actually balanced. Yes, they were meant to be balanced at the end of the first quarter, but it's the end of the first third and I make the rules here. Some other like mini goals I had in mind to facilitate me reducing my physical TBR included reading 12 books of nonfiction in the year and reading 12 classics in the year. That has not really happened. I've read 1 classic and 0 books of nonfiction. Actually, let's do like a very quick genre breakdown. So I read 29 books that were for grown-ups, 7 that were for young adults, and 6 that were for children. And then a more precise breakdown of that, I read 6 romance books, 1 classic, 4 thrillers, 2 fantasy books, and then 13 books that are just kind of like general adult fiction. And then like the 7 YA books, the 6 children's fiction books, and 3 books of poetry as well. However, even though technically I have earned everything that came onto my shelves, I do want to like build up some credit so I can get more books onto my shelves, and I'm going to do that by unhauling some books today. Although I did actually get quite excited and I already started. So I did unhaul 11 books that I got from work. I know I've been saying things like, oh, my workbooks don't count. I am still counting them if they have been on my TBR like historically. So if they came onto my TBR in 2025 or prior, I am counting them. But if they're like new additions, they don't count at all. So that is 11 books gone. And I got a little bit excited and I've already unhauled 3 Ellen Armas books and another romance book that I decided I didn't want to read anymore because I tried it last year and I put it down because I wasn't enjoying it. And one of the things that I really wanted to do with my reading this year was getting better at putting things down if I just thought they were mid or worse. So that's 15 books that I've already unhauled, which means I can get 3 new books, but I am not finished. So we're gonna start with the children's and young adult shelf. I am normally quite good at things coming onto this shelf and me reading them quite quickly. However, in the past like year and a half, I've been going to lots more like children's book conferences as part of my job, and often at those, you do end up picking up a lot of books from other publishers. So these shelves grow from a combination of me wanting to just keep up with what is publishing in these areas for like my professional like awareness and development, but also because I just happen to get a lot of free books in this area. So I don't love getting rid of like LGBTQ plus YA books, because it means so much to me that like these books exist and are popular now, because like I didn't have them growing up and it would have been so impactful if I did. And I did really enjoy this author's first book, but I just don't think I'm going to keep Cupid's Revenge on my shelves because it is a few years old now. I did like end up getting it for free. I would love like a sapphic teenager to pick this up and get more enjoyment out of it than I would. This is another one that I think I got for free. This is 12th Night, which is actually the same author that wrote the adult book, The Atlas Six. I do think the premise of this sounds cool, but again, I just think an actual teenager would get more out of reading this than I would. Murder by Narwhal, there are multiple reasons why I no longer want this book, but I also think someone else would think this sprayed edge is super cool and want to add it to their shelves, so I'm freeing it from mine. Then I think the last one I'm going to get rid of, I don't know if I want to. This is Hollowpox, which is the third book in the like Morgan Crow series, so it's like magical middle grade, and I really enjoyed the first book, Nevermore, and I liked the second one less. And then I just haven't got around to reading the third book, which is so big. And then there was like a massive gap before the fourth book came out. And I feel like that just like the series lost my attention for that reason. I think I might actually keep this one. What do you guys think? I'm going to keep it for now. Okay, now for the adult books. Okay, I think there's actually only one that I'm confident that I want to get rid of. This just feels like a very like cheesy romance. And whilst in recent years I have really embraced reading romance fiction and really enjoyed it, I think over that time my understanding of my tastes for romance fiction has like evolved, and I've understood my tastes a lot more. And I think this was one of those books that I picked up when I was first getting into romance and just wanted to get everything, and to be honest was like a bit of a cover buy. And it's also about a girl that is like revamping her local bookstore, and I feel like sometimes I really enjoy like booky romance books, and sometimes I just find them like quite eye-rolling. And I actually think that's everything off the adult shelves that I want to get rid of. There are a few books that I'm like teetering on. So Followers, I tried to read this once and then I put it down, and I can't even remember anything about it or why I put it down. So I feel like this is like a maybe that I want to unhaul, but I don't want to commit to it yet. The Roundhouse has been on my TBR for a really long time, and again, I just haven't like been drawn to it, haven't wanted to pick it up. It sounds like a very intense, like emotionally intense book, which simultaneously makes me think like, oh god, am I ever going to be like emotionally ready to read this book? But it's also the thing that does compel me to read it. But it has been on my TBR for like such a long time. X's and O's is another romance book that I picked up when I was like having a flurry of romance fiction coming onto my shelves. And I have read another book from this author, and I did just kind of think it was fine. So I'm not sure. I am going to keep it for now. And then Girls on Fire is one that has also been on my shelves for like years, and I just haven't picked it up, and I don't really know why. I suppose it is another one that sounds like quite intense. I do also have some Tessa Bailey books, and I absolutely loved the first Tessa Bailey book I read. I think it was like Fix Her Up. I loved that book. And the few books that I've read from her since, I just thought were like, okay. I do have a lot of her books on my shelf. So I have these two, and then I have a hardback, the like Afterlight subscription box edition. And part of me really wants to cull my Afterlight collection. I had a subscription for like quite a while, and I think like all of the books that I've received have been beautiful. But as I said, since I've like started to understand my taste in romance fiction a bit more, not all of them appeal to me as much as they once did. And I probably could get like a bit of cash for the Afterlight books on Vinted, so that appeals to me. But I don't think I'm like emotionally prepared to say goodbye to those yet. I also don't think there's anything that I want to get rid of from my classics shelves just yet. I haven't like decided whether I want to reduce my Penguin English Library collection or not. And I also don't think there's any non-fiction books that I want to get rid of either. Although I do have like quite a lot of non-fiction books that are like on very samey topics, so maybe I don't need all of them, but I think we're okay for now. So today I've got rid of 4 books. So that takes us up to 19 books unhauled. So I kind of want to get rid of another one. Should I get rid of it? You know what? If I feel this conflicted, I should probably keep it. I have got rid of 19 books, which I think is pretty good going. And if we assume I read, you know, 1 book in April, which I probably will, that means 4 books can come onto my shelves, which might not be enough. We gave it a good effort. I did all my notes in purple Sharpie, so if you want to let me know you're here but don't have anything in particular to say, can you leave me a purple emoji? The reading year is a work in progress. You know, we still have time to sort my shit out. Thanks for hanging out with me while I've done this. It's a very sunny day, so I'm gonna film a few more videos, so don't judge me if you see me in this dress multiple times. That's it from me. I hope you're well, and I'll speak to you in my next video.